Hey there everybody, welcome to my channel, Trinergy Awakens Naturally. My name is Kate and Mountain's been busy again, been talking to me. I have a channeled message and of course I just came right in. I'm all sweaty and nasty. Let's get to the point though. The message that came to me is that when we're going to college or we're going to school of some kind and we're looking to learn a skill, we don't usually get butthurt with our teacher because we want to learn that skill. They have some knowledge that we do not have, and therefore we choose to sit in the class, or we're compulsorily educated to be there, however it is that we get to be there. But generally speaking, by the time we get to college or technical school or night class or whatever, we're doing that out of our own free will. We just want to take that class because it's something that interests us. And there isn't a whole lot of ego struggle generally speaking, because hey, I don't know Spanish and you're the Spanish teacher, therefore I look to you to guide me, to direct me, to correct me, and to do that in a kind way, preferably. We can't always guarantee the temperament of our teacher, which brings me to the point of we can't always guarantee the temperament of the student either. However, we're going to keep it at the perspective of the student shopping for teacher. There generally is not an ego struggle. And so if we look at the concept of spirituality and deeper understanding of higher consciousness, we kind of get into ego struggles. Okay, we get into huge ego struggles with people because we have this whole understanding of teacher-student. There were always a teacher or a student or whatever. And I'd like to challenge myself, actually was what I was challenged with on the way back, going, I never thought about that way, that I'm going to challenge you that perhaps this is a way to look at it, that just because there is someone who seems to be more enlightened and may actually be more enlightened does not mean that they're better necessarily, or that they're worse, or that they're weird, or that they're whatever. It means that their specialty as a light worker, a starseed, an energy healer, a shaman, a hayuka, a healer of some kind, whatever, they identify with, I'm really connected to my divinity and this is my work that I do as that, through that, and with that. When that person is demonstrating excellence in their area of enlightenment, spirituality, etc., and they have knowledge, I'm not sure why it is that we have such a contingency of people that are really hating on that. Spiritual haters, spiritual assassins, that like to do a lot of that spiritual warfare garbage up there in, some other D other than 3D, that I really wish we wouldn't do that, because it's all about the ego struggle. That if I'm looking to my spiritual advisor and they know more than me, and I'm talking about a human face, if I'm mentoring with someone and I'm looking to them, they know more about this topic than I do. They don't know more about my enlightenment and how that will unfold. However, they know more about the topic in general. I don't generally have an ego struggle with that. Now, I don't understand and I don't know that I didn't have an ego struggle with my teachers in high school or college or anything like that about the material. I had issue with some of the personalities because some of my teachers were just very unkind and they were janky and did stuff outside the law. But that's beside the point, that there were social reasons why I was kind of, didn't love being around them. However, I look to them to be the expert in their field. I want to learn how to sing, then I'm going to look to you to teach me how to sing because you have more knowledge of that. So there wasn't a big battle, generally speaking, about that, the skill itself. The personalities, I could have left, a few of those behind and just never have done that. However, I paid $80,000 for my education and wow, I wish I could leave all of it behind. But I learned a great deal of things about myself and how to apply this particular notion that ego struggle, when I have a real power struggle with an instructor, if it's a skill, a technical skill of some kind, teaching, pedagogy, that kind of thing, voice, pedagogy, that's a skill that I did not have. However, the ego got in the way. The ego of the other person who just couldn't stop hammer, and that's what got in the way. It was not me being jealous of that person, angry that they had more knowledge, or blah, 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 blah. It was actually just that you're such an impossible twit to work with, that it's so uncomfortable and painful that 444, you're stealing and thieving my joy away from me in this arena that music is no longer fun for me. I'm really deciding that I can't stand you and I can't stand it, and I'm not sure which one I'm disliking more, so I'm just going to quit altogether. And it took a very long time to get back to that. And I had the same experience with spirituality that I had many people. I've always been a seeker, and so I always am looking and seeking and searching for what's the next level of consciousness I can reach. And so I went through a lot of different areas, and it just seemed like I kept bumping up against doctrine that rubbed me wrong. And I was kind of told that, well, it's because you don't surrender, it's your ego, it's your this, it's your that. And I really I'm kind of understanding through this walk this afternoon. Thank you, spirit guides, thank you, animal guides, and thank you, divinity, every realm that is expressing itself to me and through me. Thank you. That wasn't about me being unable or unwilling to surrender to divinity. What I did not appreciate was learning doctrine that taught me there was a workaround. If I just tithe 10%, I'm going to get there. I'm holy and I'm enlightened because I can let go of 10% of my income. Well, I found out that you're going to need to let go of more than that, Kate. You're going to need to let go of about 100% of it sometimes, or you're going to have none. You're going to be without. And so that wasn't necessarily an ego struggle of I refused, and it wasn't a lack of acknowledgement of the teachers, these people. It wasn't their inability to express content regarding spirituality. It was that I'm not sure that you really know more than me. And I'm very happy to know that I shop for my voice teacher very carefully. Now, I would never study with someone who was a beast, and I would audition them. And if they told me that they were auditioning me, I wouldn't even remotely show up. Thanks anyway. Because as I teach piano, I audition students and they're auditioning me at the same time. I'm only in charge of my half of that. So I audition my mentors and my teachers very carefully, because I learned the hard way, both in voice and in spirituality, that really the best answer is for me, that I can be guided very well about how to avoid holy hell. By listen to me doesn't mean that I'm suddenly endowed with vocal pedagogy just because I don't like that teacher. It means that I'm endowed always with I can go that direction to search for a new teacher who's more appropriate for me. And that doesn't have anything to do with ego, except that I'm gonna have to squash that ego and get it away from me, because it's hindering me from getting better in touch with the pedagogy and the ability for me to share and express what is my divinity. And I'll be darned if I'm going to let another person squash or taint or tarnish my divinity in any way, especially through music. That's just a sidebar. But the spirituality, I really am very careful with that too, that I can go right here and say, is this doctrine that I can really take and listen to and accept as my own, as I'm listening to oracle readings or tarot readings or a Sunday sermon? I go to a lot of different places, and then I go and I walk and I listen to hawk as it zooms by, or bunny, or excuse me, crow, or magpie. They talk to me too. So it isn't that I'm egoically denying a person. It's that I'd really like to expand the idea that just because someone says they're teacher doesn't mean they know more, and just because someone isn't labeled teacher doesn't mean they can't teach us a whole lot. And I don't necessarily need to go to math class again, third grade math class again. I think I can pretty much opt out of that and say I'm ready for a more advanced class. So if I'm not looking for an instructor that can really stretch me and grow me, if I had taken my high school voice teacher and tried to cram him into my college experience, that wouldn't have worked, because his technical expertise was in developing a very fresh, brand new, untarnished, pedagogical goose egg, a golden egg. That was his specialty. And then the woman that I studied with in college, her specialty was to smush all that and tear it apart. No. She had some skills. She was just such a beast, and she refused to see what her student really was. I was not the type of soprano that she was trying to make me be, and it was implied that I was just being stubborn and I would not yield, and that used to rub me wrong all day long. And I finally today am figuring it out that, just because I was standing in your studio and you were called teacher doesn't mean that you taught me a class I wanted to know. I learned that crap that you taught me. I learned that right at home, and I learned that all the way from birth until until I left home that in the dysfunctional family dynamic that we all grew up in, some version of it, of how to doubt myself, how to wonder whether what I was doing was acceptable, how to not feel like a complete blob, standing there and not just melt into the ground. Wasn't very successful with that until I absolutely dropped school and absconded away in the middle of the night and didn't even say goodbye because I didn't have it in me. And so that's the kind of education, schooling, and mentoring that, no thanks. I want to find the teacher that actually has skill in what I'm actually interested in, and they've got no problem with me and my skin, and I'm interested in what they're actually going to teach me. Not what I think they're going to teach me, not what they say they're going to teach me. What are you actually teaching me? And if we're going over third grade math again and again and again, and I'm already way past it, I'm into calculus, then that's not a class I want to take, and that's not about ego. It really isn't. It isn't about me being stubborn or unwilling. It really isn't. It's about, why would I sit here and spend money, waste time, waste energy, and aggravate the snot right out of myself, plus her, not that I need to protect her, or him, but why would I do that when I could just go right on into calculus or whatever class that I'd really rather be studying? And we're constantly learning from other people and teaching other people, and not everybody is as skilled a teacher in everything. And if somebody has a skill in something and they say they have that and they're demonstrating that, then why would I argue with it? I've argued with spiritual teachers up and down because they had holes in their story. And I found that the best way to stay out of Clown Town on that is I just go in here, because divinity has kept me square with, I only head towards people that don't freak me out and don't, shove me down. That's the criteria right there. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, the teachers that I've run into, they've been very willing to teach me a thing or two. And so with that, I'm going to close just giving you the opportunity to perhaps give it some consideration that, what are you teaching, 1144? And what are you learning? Who are you learning from? And what are they teaching you? And are you okay with that? And what are you paying to be in that class? And have you taken this class over and over and over again? Is it really a remedial class that you need to take? Or is it just that you're kind of stuck there thinking you have to be there in that karmic cycle of again and again and around and around and around? And a lot of that stuff, unnecessary. It's a matter of just identifying that, I'm pretty sure I learned my multiplication tables and I'm ready to move on to algebra, or I'm ready to move on to recess at a minimum because this is a bore. So with that, I'm actually going to quit 12:22 before my 15-minute mark. I've got potatoes baking in the oven, and I've got dinner that I'm looking forward to eating. And so thank you very much for your time. I'm going to go and cook my dinner in the sublime and say thank you very much to the mountains of Colorado Springs that are so beautiful in gifting me their wisdom. And they are some of the best mentors ever, and there's zero ego involved with that. So I like to start there. In natural world, natural order makes sense to me. There's never any ego involved, regardless of whether I get my feelings hurt or not in the lesson. So thank you very much for your time. I hope that you have a beautiful day, whatever part of the day you're in, and may you be well. Get in your skin. Get within, because you're divine. It's absolutely fine. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again next time, friends. Bye-bye.